Just a short video describing the Tines functions documentation and how to get the most value out of it. So I'm just going to this is our functions page. You can find this on Tines Hub, or you can go to tines.com/docs/formulas/functions, and you'll see all the list of functions. There's a lot put here ordered, and you also see the full list down the left hand side. So I'm going to take an item from our functions, we're going to talk through the documentation of it, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to use join as my example. So what do we see when we open up one of these, right? One of these functions. We see the name of the function itself. We just give it a little descriptor of what it does. We then have the syntax. So it actually says, look, this is how it's going to look. The word join, you'll open a parenthesis or bracket. You'll put in the path to your array. You do a comma, and then you put in whatever text you want to join it with. So maybe you wanted a space in there, or maybe you just wanted something like the word and a close bracket. That's just the syntax of it. Then they give a couple of usage examples. So it's nice to actually see it in practice, what an example input could look like, an example formula, and an example output. So here we can see they've got an object called myAction with an array called message, and it's got north, south, east, and west. We can see then for the join, for the path to the array, they're doing myAction.message, which is the path directly to the array we see here. And they're using the join word and. So when this function is ran on this array, we can see it's now north and south and east and west. Okay. Now, here's one of the bits of the documentation I find incredibly valuable. So the best thing I think when I'm looking for this documentation is to give me an example I can actually play with. So if we see the sample actions here, we can click on them and you can inspect them if you want. But what I find most powerful is I can click this button here and it's just like a copy actions button. So if I switch over to my Tines tenant and I have a new story just waiting here, I can now do Command V or Control V if you're on Windows, and I have editable versions of these actions I can run. I can view the output in Tines itself. I can go in and change this if I want to see how different things work. So if I want to see, well, I want the word and I can take out the spaces. What will it look like that? So we can go back, we can run it again, and now we can look at the updated one, which didn't do exactly what we wanted. So let's check that out. What did we get and why do we want? We can see here we took out the spaces and now there's no spaces between it. So we want spaces between the words as well. So we'll pop them back in, run it again. And just like that, we can see the output that we desired. So yeah, there's the sample actions. They're a really valuable part of the documentation. They're down at the end of every function. For something like join, maybe you won't need it, but as you get into more complicated functions, a lot of the time, an actual working example itself is very helpful.